is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
And Bud was the best. I gotta give it to him. Bud the best, right? He's hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of gotta give him his respect no matter what. You gotta give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes. What people said he couldn't do, he's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. I've only won one of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Sports commentator Stephen A. Smith took issue with Floyd Mayweather's recent remarks, which appeared to minimize Terence Crawford's historic win over Canelo Alvarez. Smith emphasized that Crawford made boxing history by becoming an undisputed champion across multiple weight classes, something no other fighter has achieved. He argued that this feat solidifies Crawford's legacy and deserves widespread respect, not downplaying. Smith further asserted that Crawford's victory wasn't just another notch on his belt. It was a defining career moment that placed him among the sport's legends. He pushed back against Mayweather's comments, saying they couldn't take away from the significance of Crawford's success.
Is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather didn't hold back when reacting to the shocking upset Terence Crawford delivered to Canelo Alvarez. He pointed out that this loss would forever impact Canelo's legacy. Once seen as the undisputed ruler of his weight class, dominating every opponent who stepped in his path, Canelo was defeated by a fighter who dared to step up in weight and face him on his own turf. According to Jeff, this wasn't just a minor setback, it was a major blemish that will stick with Canelo's name in boxing history. He explained that elite fighters are remembered for their pivotal moments, and unfortunately for Canelo, this one was a crushing defeat rather than a crowning achievement.
He was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on him because he was, even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever and an absolute master. In Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. Because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Stephen A. Smith was visibly moved by Terence Crawford's stunning victory and didn't hide his deep admiration. He shared that witnessing the event in person made the moment even more powerful and unforgettable for him. In Smith's view, no one in boxing history has accomplished what Crawford just pulled off, stepping up in weight and decisively defeating a dominant champion like Canelo. He described it as a milestone that redefines Crawford's career and cements his place among the sports elite. To Smith, this wasn't merely another bout. It marked a transformative moment in how the boxing world measures true greatness.
This was Terence Bud Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence Bud Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Following the fight, Terence Crawford's trainer made it clear there's nothing left for his fighter to prove. In his eyes, Crawford has reached a level where his greatness should no longer be questioned. Still, some critics continue to withhold the respect he rightfully deserves. This lingering doubt, even after dismantling one of boxing's biggest names, highlights the ongoing struggle Crawford faces outside the ring. His trainer stated that Terence isn't even considering his next opponent right now. What he accomplished against Canelo is more than enough to solidify his place in boxing history. At this stage, it's no longer about chasing big names, but about building an undeniable legacy.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who is 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. Stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up and he never accepted the fight. And so with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24...
Timothy Bradley didn't hold back in offering one of the boldest takes on Terence Crawford's victory, placing him in direct comparison with Floyd Mayweather. According to Bradley, Crawford now deserves to be mentioned at the very top of any greatest of all-time debate. He emphasized that this wasn't just about beating Canelo, it was about transforming what it means to be pound-for-pound number one. While Mayweather was a technical master in his era, Bradley believes Crawford has taken it to another level by defeating Canelo at his peak. In his view, this one propelled Crawford into a rarefied space, alongside only the most iconic figures in boxing history.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here, you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume.
Roy Jones Jr. brought a balanced viewpoint to the table, noting a key difference between Terence Crawford's win over Canelo and Floyd Mayweather's victory years earlier. He pointed out that when Mayweather fought Canelo, the latter was still young and relatively inexperienced, making it easier for Floyd to outclass him with superior technique and ring intelligence. In contrast, Crawford faced a fully developed, battle-tested version of Canelo, a champion who had ruled his division for years. Despite being the smaller man, Crawford managed to dominate him. According to Roy, that detail alone makes Crawford win all the more impressive, as he overcame a far more dangerous and evolved Canelo than the one Mayweather encountered.
Operational great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does, and the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to fight it, and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think he's on the decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights would have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them.
Duke McKenzie was visibly blown away by Crawford's performance, describing it as nothing short of astonishing. In his eyes, Canelo was completely outclassed, unable to cope with Crawford's relentless pace, sharp timing, and surgical precision. McKenzie called the showing one of the most complete and dominant performances he's ever seen in modern boxing. Beyond becoming undisputed, Crawford demonstrated a level of mastery that made him appear virtually untouchable even against elite competition. Speaking with clear admiration, McKenzie made it clear Crawford has set a new bar in the sport, one that few, if any, fighters are likely to reach.
That feeling, do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build-up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run-up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs. You know, hitting him with the head and the body. The little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close around, knowing how to win.
Trainer Robert Garcia offered one of the most powerful tributes to Terence Crawford's greatness, claiming that, at least in this context, Crawford has surpassed what Floyd Mayweather ever achieved. Garcia highlighted that Crawford clearly dominated Canelo, winning 9 or 10 rounds with ease, and showed a level of hunger and risk-taking that Mayweather never matched at such a dangerous weight class. He emphasized that Floyd never stepped up to challenge and overwhelm a bigger, top-tier champion the way Crawford just did. To Garcia, this victory wasn't just about titles or statistics. It was about having the courage to take massive risks and delivering under pressure. That, he said, is what truly separates the greats from the legends.
Canelo has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't. I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see that those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised at how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three-time, 3-division undisputed. He wanted to go up, he wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money, that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's 3-division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing if Canelo doesn't have any changes. If he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight and then retire. But I would be so happy to hear he retired.
Brian Norman Sr. left no room for debate when he stated that Terence Crawford's domination over Canelo Alvarez was far more devastating than anything Floyd Mayweather ever accomplished. His statement resonated deeply with fans and analysts because it captured the reality of what happened in the ring. Canelo, who had long been the undisputed king of his division, wasn't just defeated. He was systematically dismantled by a fighter who had moved up 2 weight classes to challenge him. Crawford's performance was a masterful display that redefined modern boxing greatness. For years, Canelo ruled the super middleweight division with authority, building a reputation as boxing's face, taking on top contenders, and becoming one of the sport's most marketable champions. His dominance made him seem nearly invincible, with opponents frequently overwhelmed by his powerful combinations and strategic pressure. However, on this night, Crawford shattered that image. The shock wasn't only in the loss itself, but in how it unfolded. Canelo wasn't merely outpointed or narrowly defeated. He was outclassed, left searching for answers that never materialized.
Against Bud on quarter, I didn't think that Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect, no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes, what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease. Right? You gotta respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way he won it tonight?
He won the fight by gaining Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was stronger and everything else, these fighters are still humans, and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was I'm sorry, not Canelo. Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to the Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against Primo or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather, having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that's it's opinionated situation because Styles make fights. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be an opinionated thing because Styles make fights. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras.
Yeah, different eras. It's a different a lot of things.
Yeah.
Andre Ward, himself a boxing legend, placed Terence Crawford's win in a grand historical framework. He called it a generational bout, one that fans will remember for decades as a pivotal moment in the sport. Ward pointed out that fights like this define careers and distinguish great fighters from timeless legends. What stood out most to him was Crawford's discipline, how he stayed focused, calm, and strategic throughout, never letting emotions interfere. For Ward, this was a GOAT moment that firmly pushed Crawford into the discussion of all-time greats. By thoroughly outclassing Canelo, Crawford raised himself to a level where only a select few in boxing history have stood.
Beat Canelo Alvarez tonight. What was your thoughts on that performance from Terence?
Terence Crawford, great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, and he did that at 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheiks for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing.
Yeah. How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people call me crazy, but I've been around Terence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself
himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there, the power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So, what more can I say?
What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are checked. What else are we doing?
That wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for what's coming next.